Hey, Warrior Saints, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people in with us. It's time to get some. Stay on it. Stay on it. The Warrior Saints Challenge for the Orthodox Christians, Pascha is just a week and a half away. We're going to finish then. We're going to wrap it up then. Very simple. Visit warriorsaints.org. Get a copy of your book, The Way of the Warrior Saint. Read. Tell us what you think. Do some exercise. Post it on our social. Let us know what's going on so we can connect with you. There is a beautiful saying from St. Anthony the Great. For those who may not know who St. Anthony the Great is, he was, one of the first, if not the first monastic, the first monk, at least in the Christian tradition. And he lived somewhere in the second or maybe early third century in Egypt, in Scetis. And he lived his full life in the desert. He was, living a solitary life and really a prayerful, beautiful soul, obviously a great saint in the church. And he has this saying, and as I read it, every time I think about it, it strikes me. He says, a time is coming. Listen to this. Greg's going to put it on your screen. A time is coming when men will go mad. And when they see someone who is not mad, they will attack him, saying, you are mad. You are not like us. And as I reflect on that, I see in that a lot of our life today. I mean, the reality of it is it's chaotic out there. You guys know it. I mean, it's just, there's so much heavy and anger and fear and hate and lies and confusion and anxiety and depression and all the monsters that we talked about in the last couple of weeks. Those things are out there. And there's a madness that has infiltrated the human mind, the human heart, and the human soul. Across the board. I mean, there's just a madness to it. And there are those people who, like that woke movement, that thing they talk about, the woke movement, where they're saying, if you're not like me, you're this or that or the other. And it's that St. Anthony in the second, third century nailed it for our century. It's the insanity that's out there, and it's all over. It's not just one group or the other. It's all over that is attacking and criticizing the others. And what God is saying to us, here's the key, is that, the problem is that we're looking at the world through the lens of the world, right? So what I mean by that is we see the world through the world's eyes. We're doing things worldly ways. When we attack and assault and oppress and crush and harm and verbally abuse and all the rest of the stuff, other people, we're living in the world in a worldly way. And God has called us to something very different. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Isaiah chapter 58. Beautiful stuff, tough stuff. God is writing through Isaiah while his people are in exile. They're suffering. They're literally oppressed by their oppressors, the attacking Babylonians who have enslaved them, right? And they're wondering why, if they fast and praise God and worship God and do all the right things, would he let these evils come upon them, right? He's saying, the people are saying, why, God, we fasted, we praised you, we offered sacrifices. I mean, aren't you going to take care of us? Why did you let these bad guys come in and get us? And God is saying to them in this text in 58, you're doing it the wrong way because you're doing it the worldly way. So let me fly through a couple of verses here in Ezekiel chapter 58. Listen to them. We've got a few we're going to post on the screen. They're powerful. They're beautiful, but they also convict us. And then I'm going to give us, after we read them and we kind of feel that conviction, I'm going to give us a call to action. All right, so listen as we go. Isaiah 58. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up your voice like a trumpet. Declare to my people their transgression, to the house of Jacob their sins. So God is saying to Isaiah the prophet, go tell them their sins. Put that voice out there, blow it like the trumpet, right? Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways, as if they were a nation that did righteousness. Oh, we long to know God because we're so good, right? Sounds like that false piety. We know about that. And did not, as if they were a nation that did righteousness and did not forsake the ordinances of God. They ask of me righteous judgment and delight to draw near to God. So here he's saying, they expect from me. God is saying they expect things from me. They want good things. They want to draw near to me. They think that they're righteous and that I should give them all these things. And yet, here we go, verse 3. Why have we fasted and you not see? Why have we humbled ourselves and you take no knowledge of it? Right? So they're asking God, we did all these things. We tried to humble ourselves. We tried to fast and you didn't notice it. And God says, behold, in the day of your fast, you seek your own pleasure. and you oppress all your workers. So he's calling out false piety and the pretense of saying, look at me, how good I am, because it's for your own pleasure. Verse 4, behold, you fast. Listen to this. How does it sound like 21st century America, North America? Behold, you fast only to quarrel and to fight and to hit with wicked fist. Fasting like yours this day will not make your voice heard on high, right? So he's saying, like, when we get into this, and fasting is the metaphor that Isaiah uses, this pseudo-spiritual type of, if we're calling ourselves righteous, but we use it as a bludgeon to bludgeon with a fist, it will not be heard by God, right? So you ask yourselves, all right, so, well, then what do we do? Come on, Isaiah, give us something. Tell us how we do it. Keep listening. Is such the fast that I chose, a day for man to humble himself? Is it to bow down his head like a rush and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Will you call this a fast and an acceptable day to a day acceptable to the Lord? And here we go. Is not the fast that I choose this, to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? A little bit different than self-focus, right? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry and bring the homeless poor into your house? Verse 7. Share your bread with the hungry and bring the homeless poor into your house. When you see the naked, to cover him and not to hide yourself from your own flesh. Then shall your light break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up speedily. Your righteousness shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Right? Like he's saying, it's awesome. Like the fast that I want from you is to take care of other. That's the key, right? It's to take care of other. And in a world where everybody is mad because we're looking through the lens of the world at the world, which is really a lens of self-focus, self-perpetuation, self-aggrandizing, self-pleasure, exaltation, right? We're focused on self. That's what's happening in the world today. Every single person, and I don't care who you are and what you say, with what's going on in our world. And it's like that from all generations. This isn't a unique time. It's got some unique qualities, but it's not unique because throughout history, it's always been about self. And what God is saying, warrior saints, to you and I, selfless. Look at other. Be, and here's our word, crucifixional. Sacrifice yourself, sacrifice your will to take care of the poor and the oppressed and the needy, right? Like I always giggle when people say Christianity is an oppressive religion. You obviously don't know. You're obviously a moron if you say that, right? You just heard it in Isaiah. Here's the fast I want from you. Let the oppressed and the needy go. Bring the poor into your house. Share your bread. Put on clothes on the naked. I mean, like that's the message. And now as warrior saints, we have to do that. The call to action that I'm calling us today is number one, stop playing with the world like the world, right? Don't play with the world by the world's rules. You're going to lose. You lose. That's how it goes. I mean, it just doesn't work. Instead, start to think crucifixionally. Start to think, all right, X or Y, whatever your name is, how do I set myself and my own will aside so that I can care for another person? How will I do that today? Let me think about how I can put myself second, right? Now, if you think about it let me give you a practical husbands, right? If we're having trouble with our brides, sometimes I meet with people all the time and sometimes, husbands and wives have rough times. And there becomes resentment and estrangement. So how do I say to myself as a man or as a woman, I'm going to set my desires aside for her or for him, right? As a parent, how do we do that with a child? As a child with an elderly parent, how do we do that? How do we do that in a workplace environment where maybe our boss is stressed and rotten to us, or maybe we're rotten to our employees, whatever it may be, right? How do we do that? How do we set ourselves aside so that we can find a way to serve others? And then, look, forget the needy and the poor. If you can't do that to the ones you love the most, how are you going to do it to the stranger, right? Like you've got to be able to do it to the stranger. So you better start at home first so that, that we build this, maybe we build a habit or a plan, whatever we want to say about serving other by setting myself aside. Anyways, you guys get the message, but that's the difference. That's what the gospel is calling us to. That's what Isaiah today in chapter 58 is calling us to. And it's very different than the world. And the world's going to say, you're nuts, you're mad. Why aren't you taking care of yourself? Just smile at the world and say, thank you very much. I'm interested in other. I'm interested in living a crucifixional life. I promise you, here's the thing. This is the best news of all of it. It's the only thing that works. Like being selfish never works. People who are selfish, self-focused, self-centered, they're chaotic, right? But people who sacrifice themselves find themselves in life. And as Isaiah said to us in chapter 58, the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard, right behind you, to walk right behind you and keep you safe. So I want to challenge you today, in a world gone mad, why don't you give it a shot to be a light, someone who shows the world that the madness is indeed madness. You do that by living a crucifixional life. We help you do that. Very simple. All you got to do, click the link below, above, wherever it is, and join us at warriorsaints.org. When you get there, you're going to see an option. You can get our book, which we talked about earlier, The Way of the Warrior Saint. You can get your copy there. Or, and perhaps more importantly, you can join us on The Way of the Warrior Saint by subscribing to our online library. We're going to give you everything we got, bringing thunder to help you live a crucifixional life as you set aside your will to do God's will and care for others. Love you, beautiful people. We have, for those who are Orthodox and want to join us, we have pre-sanctified divine liturgy tonight at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. It's the last one. And then, of course, we will join you again tomorrow at 11 a.m. for our live stream. Beautiful people, we love you. God keep you. It's time to go out there and get some. Stay safe today. Keep us in prayers as we do for you. And as always, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.